Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005 on the channel once again. And we are closing inches and inches closer to the end of the regular season on this NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005 season. Historic day yesterday for Jimmy Johnson, led all 300 laps at New Hampshire after starting on the pole en route to not only his 7th victory of the season, but also his first points lead of the season, as Robbie Gordon just blew an engine on our screen in practice. That is something that I think we're going to see a lot of today. I saw like 3 drivers blow an engine in like the 20 laps I practiced. So this is a very fast racetrack on these engines, so it's very, very harsh. Even though it's 400 miles instead of a 600-mile race, it's still going to be very crucial if these guys are going to try to get to the end. Jimmy Johnson has a pretty strong car again today. He was fastest in final practice in that happy hour session. First practice, he was 4th and qualified 6th. I think he'll have a good car today. The only downside is the controller issues that I am having with my PS2 again. For those of you that have watched the channel for a little while now, you'll know that back when I first got this PS2, when we had NASCAR Thunder 2004, I was having major issues with multiple different controllers. Well, first of all, I was fine with the first one. And then the analog stick started sticking to the right, and I couldn't get it fixed. So I had to order a new one. So what I did was I ordered a new one, and that would be this one right here, this red controller. Ordered this one, came in, it works, but the analog stick itself is really touchy. It's like really twitchy. So I didn't like it. We raced like maybe 2 or 3 races with it. I ordered a new one on Amazon like later that night after I got this one because I was like, this is just garbage. And I didn't think that it was necessarily because it was a little bit different controller than the first one I had. So I just rebought the first one I had originally, and that one works fine, which is this one right here, this controller. The issues I am having with this one as of like me just practicing and qualifying, it keeps disconnecting on me. I'm not sure why. Like it's actually connected. It's not actually popping out of the PS2. And the light is still on the entire time, but on my screen, while I'm like in practice or was in qualifying even once, it'll just randomly disconnect on me. It disconnected on me like 3 times. And then even on the main menu, getting into the race, it disconnected on me once as well. And I was like, what is going on? I literally, the only way I could get it to not disconnect is laying it as flat as I possibly can, like on my leg while I'm trying to race. So it's very, very difficult. If you've ever played any video game in your life, let alone a racing game, how hard it is to keep your hands at, like, literally keep the controller still. Like, it has to be as still as possible, and you just gotta, like, gradually move your thumb on the analog stick. Like, it is a pain. So the controller might disconnect on me a couple times throughout the course of the race. Now, unlike NASCAR Heat 5, the game pauses when it disconnects. So it's not like I'm just going to drill the outside wall like in NASCAR Heat 5. The game will just completely pause. The problem is where at on the racetrack am I going to be when that happens? Am I going to be in the middle of a corner? Because I was the one time in practice and I slapped the wall as soon as I unpaused it. So I'm going to hope for the best. I'm going to hope it doesn't happen too much today. And I'm going to try not to get frustrated with it, because if I get frustrated with it, then I'm not going to keep my hands still, and it's just going to happen more and more and more. So bear with me if I'm not actually going to pause the game, hardly at all. I rarely pause it, as you guys know. So if it just pauses randomly, that is why it keeps disconnecting on me. Literally, I was trying to fix it. That was like the only way I was able to actually use this controller, because in practice I also tested this red controller out, and I was like, well, this one works. The analog stick's a little touchy. So I was like, let me just try it again, because I don't want to keep my hands still. And I was like slapping the wall. I was in the grass down the backstretch. Like, for whatever reason, I cannot keep the car straight on the straightaways with this red controller. It's something with the analog stick on this one where it just moves too smoothly. It's almost like you have zero downforce in the car. And as soon as I went back to this one when it was working, it was night and day difference. I was able to have complete control of my car at the same setup. So I know that this controller I will be worse off with than this one. again, I did order a new controller on Amazon. It said it will be here Thursday. We're doing a doubleheader Thursday, planning on it at least. Busch Series at Darlington, and the next race there, and then the Cup Series, I believe later that day, Michigan is the next race. So I should have it by then, tonight and tomorrow. We plan on streaming still. Hopefully this controller is still working enough for me to be able to stream tomorrow as well as the rest of the night tonight. That's all I needed for it. That's all I need. Just 2 nights. Get me to the end of both of these races cleanly, and hopefully we can have a good, solid run. So like, share, and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Sorry for that long intro, but I wanted to explain what exactly is going on. So if you guys, are probably asking, or somebody else ends up asking later in the chat, so I don't have to over-explain myself, because it's a very, very long, this is like a long, drawn-out issue that has been kind of off and on, I guess, since I got this PS2 refurbished, over a year ago now. I think I got it back in August last year. So, all right, Ethan, Billy Kramer, SRL Racing League channel, Tyler Burbeck, Joshua Rumsey. Welcome to the stream, everybody. When is NASCAR Heat 5 coming back? Never. We finished all we needed to in NASCAR Heat 5. NASCAR 21 Ignition releases next week, so literally we only have 7 days. So we're just running NASCAR Chase for the Cup 05 in the process. Hopefully this controller works. Good thing is it's not sticking. It just completely doesn't work when it. And luckily, again, it just disconnects and pauses. Worst case scenario. All right, let's get this race underway. Okay, green flag in the air. Johnson qualified 6th. Rookie Johnny Sauter on the pole to start the race today as Jimmie Johnson spins the tires. On the initial start, he did not take off well at all. It's going to get tight off turn 1. Dale Jarrett not giving him a lot of room. And he ends up in the wall in the short chute in 1 and 2. Jimmy in the wall again. He needs more space down to the bottom. Looked like me with the red controller earlier. Kurt Busch sends it into turn 3. He's going to get underneath Jimmie Johnson now. Contact there in the short chute of 3 and 4 between Busch and Johnson. Ryan Newman, very tight. Johnson has lost 5 positions on the opening lap of the race. Jeff Gordon will lead the first lap. Johnson has a 100-point lead over Ryan Newman coming into the race. Gordon, who led in points going into yesterday at New Hampshire, blew an engine and dropped from 1st to 3rd in the standings. He's 107 back, but off to a good early start. Contact up there with the leaders now. Johnson finally able to get down to the bottom of the racetrack. It's underneath Dale Jr. with a massive run down the back straightaway. He'll dive underneath Elliott Sadler. Sadler has DNF'd 4 straight races with engine failures. So he is in desperate need of a solid run here these final 7 races of the regular season. Pole sitter Johnny Sauter, who wasn't even able to lead lap 1, is actually falling back to 5th. Johnson gets underneath him off the exit of turn 4. Gordon shuffled out of line. Jimmie Johnson with a run on the front stretch. 3 wide at Indianapolis. 3 wide into turn 1 at Indy. And they made it. And Johnson all of a sudden passes Stewart in the short chute of 1 and 2 to get to 2nd. Kevin Harvick led that last lap. Johnson just going to draft with Harvick right now, try to get away from the pack, and he's going to take his time getting around this 29 car. Not going to force the issue here early, especially with my controller the way it is. And obviously that rough opening lap as well. Outside just not working well at Indy. I tried passing, I think, Brendan Gaughan in practice on the high side because he was holding me up. He was blocking the bottom in practice on the straightaways. And I tried to pass him. I clipped him, and we both ended up in the wall. So hopefully all goes well. Michael Turner, welcome to the stream as well. So, yeah, I'm going to try to look at the chat as much as I can. But, again, I literally cannot move my hands the entire stream. or the controller will disconnect on me. So I am just praying that everything goes well tonight. I guarantee I will not make it to the end of this race without it disconnecting once. There's no way. There's no way I'm going to keep my hands this still for like 2 hours. Alternate through the different camera angles for the first time in the race today. Very early on at lap number 5. Johnson being very patient behind Harvick. It's going to be harder to pass the car with clean air as well. We've seen some fuel mileage races at Indy in the oval configuration. Harvick with a block. Johnson did pull low that time down the back straightaway. Kevin started to shift down. Harvick got out of the gas a little bit. Not completely out of the throttle. Johnson trying to back up turn 4. Harvick got back to the gas in a pretty good spot, though, as well. Everybody wants to win at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. This is back in the day where they were selling well over 200,000 tickets to the Brickyard 400. So this is a very, very highly anticipated event for the virtual fans out here in attendance. Johnson again just kind of riding behind Kevin Harvick. He's going to save a little bit of fuel too. Just kind of running and drafting behind him right now. Harvick going to go up high. It looked like he was about to let Johnson go, but Jimmy is willing to just save fuel for the moment. Save fuel and work with Harvick down the straightaways. I'm sure Harvick would want to save some too, but Johnson would like to pit at lap 40 at the end of each run if he can help it. Earl Arnold Jr., welcome to the stream. Big bounce off the curb that time with the left side tires. Turn 1, that curb is not friendly here at Indy. Not in this game. Yeah, a lot of beef in the NASCAR world right now, that's for sure. I'm surprised Reddick and Byron are getting into it too while they made contact 2 weeks in a row with each other. Well, I should say Reddick has gotten into Byron 2 weeks in a row. Byron was not in the wrong by any means in either one of those two incidences. Reddick just being overly aggressive. I feel like the easiest track to keep my hands still would be Daytona or Talladega because I'd be on the gas most of the time, but on a track like Indy, you're on the brakes every single corner. Not so much in turns 2 and turns 4 with it being more of a rectangle, but definitely hard on the brakes into turns 1 and turn 3. Harvick's hitting his marks, though, right now. He's doing a great job out in front of the 48 of Kevin Harvick, holding on to this lead as the two pull away. Again, Gordon led lap 1. Harvick's led every lap since. Both these drivers qualified inside the top 10. Almost 195 miles an hour down to about 150 into turn 1 to get the car to roll through the center of the corner. Both cars kind of went up the track a little bit in turn 3. Jimmy went up the track again in 4. Harvick did in the center off. Johnson got back into the gas a little bit before the 29 of Harvick. Harvick blocking him low. Johnson swings to the high side now. You can see just how close Johnson is down the straightaways onto the back bumper of the 29. Ooh, man, bad bounce off the curb that time in turn 3. Jimmy kind of just drove across it almost all the way through the corner. Hit that like button, everybody watching right now. We got 8 people currently down in the chat. Early going to the Brickyard 400. Lap 11 already. Our race went caution-free last night as well, for those of you that watched that New Hampshire race. So caution-free, and Johnson led every single lap in the race. It's not only a max points day, but nobody else even got 5 bonus points for leading a single lap either. First time I've ever done that in the Cup Series in this game. With these full races. Bad time for an itch on my nose. No time's a good time tonight, though, with this controller acting the way it is. I'm surprised I kept my hand still. It's just amazing how Harvick and Johnson are just getting away from the field right now. $2,600 under. Could you imagine actually golfing $2,600 under in real life? Johnson to the high side of Harvick. Ended up backing out of the gas. Harvick almost left the bottom open that time in turn 2. After some point, Jimmy's going to want to get in front of him, so he could try to get some laps let in here. He doesn't want Harvick to lead the most. Johnson in a tight race still for the regular season championship. Remember, Harvick's 4th in the point standings. About 156 back of race, or I should say points leader, Jimmy Johnson. And don't forget the streak Hendrick Motorsports has right now as well. They have won a very, very phenomenal 7 races in a row. Or sorry, 8 races in a row. Jeff Gordon has won 2 of them. Jimmy Johnson has won 6 of them in that stretch. Johnson's got 7 wins total on the season. Well, the oval track at Indy would look like this in NASCAR 21, only with better graphics. And Gen 6 cars instead of Gen 4. Oh, wow, Jimmy got really loose into turn 1. Car really snapped on him that time. We'll go back to the far chase cam When we get back to the start-finish line this time by. Johnson trying to get his first career Brickyard 400 victory. He won a handful of these races in his NASCAR Cup Series career. We're trying to get him his first in this 2004 season. Kevin Harvick has a few wins here as well. Somebody might have to fact check, but who won the 2004 Brickyard 400? Because I'm thinking it might have been Kevin Harvick. It was either Harvick or it was probably... I don't think it was Tony Stewart. I don't think Stewart won it till 05. Did Jeff Gordon win it in 04? Somebody needs to Google that for me. I should have done that earlier today, and I didn't, but I'm curious to know who won the 2004 Brickyard 400. On the top of my head, I have no clue. I'm going to say it's either Kevin Harvick or Jeff Gordon. Tony Stewart was my third guess, but I don't think he won it till 05. I think 05 and 07 were the 2 years Stewart won it. Track position is key in this race right here. Kevin Harvick has definitely proven that, as Johnson's just been sitting behind him for quite some time. I mean, yes, with them not really battling side by side or anything of that nature, it's definitely allowing Kevin Harvick to pull away. Johnson's like, well, might as well share draft him if I'm not going to be able to pass right now. Already allies, though. Get as many ally points as possible. You never know what could happen when Johnson pulls out of the line to try and make the pass. Gordon won it, went 161 laps. All right, thanks for that. I had it on my second guess. I was thinking Harvick won it in 04. I know he won it 1 year in the 29 car. Maybe he won it in 06. I know Stewart won 05, 07, so I'm thinking maybe... it was 06. Kevin Harvick won. Johnson with a really good run off the exit of turn 4. Gonna go for it here. He had a good run himself getting back into the gas, but Harvick did equally as good. Johnson really couldn't actually get to the corner panel. I'll tell you what, I don't think this is a track that Elliott Sadler wants to come into knowing he has blown 4 engines in a row in 4 straight races. He qualified inside the top 10 tonight. He needs a solid run. We'll see if he can get it. Scared for NASCAR 21 ignition. Yeah, a lot of you guys have been asking or talking about it tonight. I'm not going to judge the game until I personally play it myself. Like, watching it for me is only so much. Because there are some NASCAR games that don't get as good of recognition that I think are better, and vice versa. I think some games are kind of maybe overrated of ones that I've played. versus you know, what they actually are, in my personal opinion. So I won't have like a definitive answer on what I think of the game until I play it. But as far as like my first take of it, I was honestly expecting a little bit more out of the game, and I think it was just kind of overhyped. I mean, it's the first game in a generation series. I wasn't expecting it to be the greatest game, but I feel like a lot of people were hyping it up as, oh man, it's going to be like the best thing since like the EA Sports, you know, mid 2000s kind of games, and I just don't like this game right here, and I pumped the brakes the entire time. I'm excited for it, you know, I am hyped, but I'm kind of like a cautiously optimistic for it at the same time too. Harvick won in '03. Oh, gotcha. Did he win in '06 too? Who won '06 then? Maybe Tony Stewart won '06. Actually, Jimmy Johnson might have won it. You know what? Now I'm thinking about it. Jimmy Johnson won in '06. And NASCAR Heat 4 is definitely the best game of the Heat series. It's a good game. It's not going to be like a nostalgic game when I get older. Like, oh my goodness, I remember NASCAR Heat 4. Like, it's not going to be like that. But I do think it's a good NASCAR game. I think it got just way too much crap. Oh man, Johnson tried to make the move on Harvick. Harvick threw a block that he was not clear. But luckily the bumpers were aligned literally as perfect as they can be with these Gen 4 cars. That even with the contact, Harvick didn't get basically turned off the front bumper of the 48. Had a feeling that if Johnson ever had a really good run on him that he pulled out to try and get underneath him before getting into a corner, that would happen. Johnson trying to back up the entry into turn 2. Really trying something different here. Harvick again with a block, and again he is not clear. Very aggressive blocks by Kevin Harvick in the 29. Johnson backs up turn 4. He doesn't have a big enough run though on the 29 again. It's tough to pass the car in clean air at Indy as it is. It's even tougher. Harvick's throwing these blocks. Johnson entered way too flat into turn 1. It's not a good corner for him. Harvick's already led 23 laps of the 24 complete. Johnson to the inside of Harvick. Harvick was going to try to pinch him down there, but Johnson has the run. Harvick, though, kind of pulled up a little bit. He didn't want to side draft. Now he side drafts the right rear corner panel, getting into turn 3, but Johnson is clear. Really difficult to hold the outside at Indy. And for the first time in the race today, it is Jimmy Johnson in the lead in the Brickyard 400 at lap 25. Five bonus points as well there for Johnson, leading his first lap of the race. He's been behind Harvick for quite some time. And now we got a caution. Caution's out at lap 26, first of the day. And that's perfect because Johnson just got to the lead before the yellow. And it looks like Robbie Gordon will go for a spin. Wow. Very fortunate not a lot of cars were collected there as he spins off the exit of turn 2, it looks like. And actually, it was turn 1. Exit of turn 1. Robbie Gordon goes for a spin. Johnson going to stay out of the pits. This could be a fuel mileage and definitely a track position race. It's definitely going to be a track position kind of race. So we'll see what the rest of the field's going to do here after the Robbie Gordon spin. So no cautions yesterday. We have one in the early going here today at Indy. Lap 30, green flag back in the air. Our crew chief did not tell us if anybody pitted or not, so we'll have to wait and see. And we'll also see if Johnson gets through. He didn't spin the tires like he did the last time. And Kevin Harvick actually might have had the drive, or the bad drive, I should say, off the restart. Tony Stewart will pass him for second immediately. He'll pull clear off the exit of turn 2. Looks like Dale Jr. will get to the inside of the 29 as well. Down the back straightaway. Stewart trying to get a run on the 48. That's one thing, though. The drafting at Indy is not going to allow for anybody to pull away. And Stewart overdrives turn 3. It's actually Jeff Gordon in the 24 that's underneath the 29 car. And he may get underneath Stewart as well. Gordon won the inaugural Brickyard 400 back in 1994. Yep, Harvick won the last Indy Oval. He actually won the last 2 races on the Oval for the Brickyard 400. 2019 and 2020. So now Johnson is in the driver's seat. Tony's going to have to just try to draft down the straightaways and hope he has a run by the end of it to get underneath Jimmy Johnson on corner entry. Still playing Heat 4. Hey, I don't blame you. I think it's the best of the Heat games. Johnson going all the way down low on the front stretch. Trying to break the draft as well. Maybe block Stewart, who made a move initially. Oh, Jimmy enters way too deep, and he bounces off the curb. Johnson hits the curb. He goes wide. Stewart is going to make the pass. Dale Jr. is underneath the 48 car as well, and Johnson's still there. Dale Jr. got into the side of the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. Jr. got into the side of Johnson. That killed his momentum off the exit of turn 2, so Stewart pulls clear. And Jimmy was right there, too. How much fuel were these guys able to save under the caution as well to hopefully make it to lap 40? Again, we don't even know. They might have pit. It is very well possible that those drivers had all hit pit road. Johnson sitting in line behind Stewart. Yeah, Kenseth runner-up. Didn't Bubba Wallace finish like 3rd or 4th in that race too? Or was that 2019? That might have been 2019. I think Cole Custer was up there towards the front of the field in 2020 also. So that bounce off the curb in turn 1 costed Johnson the lead, and then he was trying to hold the outside, but I mean, he probably wasn't going to be able to hold it much longer. I bet into turn 3, Stewart would have been able to clear. Tony Stewart, the 4th different leader in the race already. Harvick has led the most. Stewart's leading now. Johnson was able to lead a few laps. Only about 3 of them under green and about 3 under caution as well. Johnson to the inside of Tony Stewart trying to make the move, and Stewart just doors him into turn 4. That wasn't even a pinch. Tony Stewart just flat out doored the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. Johnson is there on the inside as they're dead even at the start-finish line. Now working their way into turn 1 again. Stewart leans on the 48. Stewart led at the line. Tony trying to cross Jimmy Johnson back over. Johnson with a block down the back straightaway. Almirola was 3rd. It must have been Bubba Wallace 2019 then. he finished third or fourth. Stewart might have brushed the wall off turn 3. Well, he must not have because he's got a good run into 4. Well, he's going to get to the inside of Jimmy Johnson, it looks like. Almost. Almost got there, but not quite. Johnson really loose in turn 1. Bubba was 9th, Custer was 5th. What about 2019? I might have been thinking 2019. Stewart sends it into 3. Side by side into the short chute. Johnson going to try not to pinch Tony Stewart. Stewart clear off turn 4. Johnson looking for the crossover down to the bottom. Way down low. Ran too low, though, into the wall on the front stretch. That got his speed off. And Stewart clears into 1. Just like Harvick, Tony Stewart's throwing some big blocks. Dark Crypto, welcome to the stream. Johnson trying to side draft Stewart. He pulled low initially, so Stewart couldn't side draft him. And now into turn 1, they pull high. Stewart's in the wall off of turn 1. Not bad in turn 2, though, for Tony. He gathered himself up pretty quickly. And he may have a run in the draft. Johnson breaks the draft down to the inside now. Into turn 3. Stewart looks low. Drove it hard into turn 4. Nothing doing there. And we're now at lap 39. So pretty much going to get to lap 140. Or sorry, lap 40. That's for certain. We still have no clue if everybody else has been. Now, the good thing is this is a long enough racetrack. If Johnson pits where he's at on the racetrack right now, that he has the track position. Gano's second, Bubba was third. We got you. 2019. That's what I thought. I thought it was 2020 at first. But then I quickly realized it was 2019. Stewart to the bottom. And Tony Stewart will pit this time by lap 39. Quarter tank of fuel left for Jimmy Johnson. He definitely saved quite a bit, not only under the caution, the 3 caution laps we've had already in the race, but also running behind Harvick for over 20 laps at the beginning of the race, saving fuel in the draft. So lap 41. See, with Stewart pitting, though, it's going to be at least 2 laps early compared to Johnson, depending on when the 48 pits. Plan on Johnson pitting very, very soon. And Johnson will pit right now off turn 4. Has to be careful on his speed. Oh, man, that was very close to speeding onto the pits. He locked the tires up at the last second. No adjustments, 4 tires and fuel for the 48 of Johnson. 41 laps in. Drink break. Yeah, that was a close game. I was watching. I pretty much started watching the game after the stream. There's that excess road there coming out of the pits, at least in turn 1. Casey Mears stayed out a little bit longer to lead a lap. Greg Biffle will do the same this time by. So the Biff will get a lap let in as well. Yeah, I got Derrick Henry on my fantasy team. He's definitely the all-star of my fantasy team so far this year. The guy's a beast. Honestly, Derrick Henry is my favorite player that's not on the Packers. He is so fun to watch. I mean, he's just so strong. But, like, as big as he is, it's crazy how fast he is. It just doesn't make sense. Pretty nimble, too. I think Henry can break the rushing record for yards in a season. Well, they got the extra game, too. Which I think kind of stinks for the single-season records. It's like every record before that was with one less game. And that makes a difference in football. You know, you could have a record by like 200, 300 yards at the end of the season right now. But you could easily throw for that many yards in one game. Especially in today's league. So the last 3 cars just hit pit road that last time by at lap 44. So honestly, everybody's looking pretty good to being able to make it. Especially if we do keep getting cautions throughout the rest of the race. Got 783 yards right now. That's what, 6 games in? It's crazy. Yeah, he's definitely the MVP of my fantasy team. I had the 3rd overall pick of the draft. And they had Henry ranked number 5, but he was actually my number 1. Personally, because the dude's a beast. I mean, that's pretty much about it. All over the place down the front stretch. Getting into turn 1. There was a slow car that came out of the pits, and I think Johnson's about to catch him very, very soon. We had a slow car, Rusty Wallace, yesterday at New Hampshire. Had blown an engine early in the race, but we had 11 DNFs yesterday that Wallace was able to finish the race and pass about 9 or 10 of them. Sterling Marlin is the slow car on the racetrack who had blown an engine already, but he is back out there. He's trying to log some laps in and outlast anybody else who was going to DNF later in the race. I think we're going to get a lot of engine failures in this race because we had like 3 or 4 in practice just in 20 laps. I'm surprised we haven't had more already at this point. We have had 1 caution so far. Again, Robbie Gordon spun in turn 1, backed it into the outside wall. Took a light hit from a couple cars from behind there right at the very end of it, but no major damage to anybody outside of Robbie Gordon. Not sure where he was running at the time of it. It looked like he was somewhere in the middle of the pack. That was at lap 26. Stopped doing fantasy football because you didn't know what you were doing. Yeah, I'd always played like free leagues and stuff. My dad, man, I think that's like my 7th year in this league now, 6th or 7th. But they had like an open spot in his league. Uh, he's not the commissioner of the league, but in the league he had been playing in for a long time. So they were like, hey, my son watches football. He knows quite a bit about it. We need an extra spot. And the commissioner was just like, hey, as long as he's got $70, that's cool. Well, at the time it was $60 to get in, but so I've been in it since I was like 15 years old. So yeah, I guess it would be my 7th year in the league already. Won the championship a couple years ago, which is pretty cool. Got to keep the trophy for a year. The last 3 years, I finished top half of the league. 6th last year, won the championship the year before that, and then finished 4th the year before that. So I've been pretty good. So far this year, I'm 5th. But I'm only 1 game out of 1st. The tiebreaker is points. How many points you scored throughout the course of the year, and I'm 3rd of the teams that are 4-2. Nobody's undefeated. I don't think anybody went undefeated past 4-0 this year. It's kind of weird. Usually there's like one team that goes like halfway through the season before they lose, but better for me. I'm only 1 game out of 1st. 3 years, won a total of 3 games. Oh my goodness. The Detroit Lions of fantasy football. So Jimmy Johnson's got about a 3.5-second lead right now after the cycling of those green flag pit stops less than 10 laps ago. And everybody will have to make 2 more pit stops before the end of the race. It's scheduled to be a 3-stop race today. Obviously, that could change depending on the cautions. Nobody pitted under the first caution of the race back at lap 26. I was curious as if to anybody might have pit, but everybody did stay out. And we're already at lap 50 in this one. My controller is not disconnected on me, so that's good. The only time I really took my hands off the controller was to itch my nose on like lap 6 or whatever it was, and then during the pit stop, which I was able to, and then I just made sure my hands were back flat by the time I made it off of the pit lane. We were good. It's definitely logging Johnson in a decent amount of laps led. It's hard to tell if he's actually pulling away. I don't think he's pulling away because it was about a 3.6, 3.7 second lead, but they're only gaining a couple tenths a second after like a 5-lap stretch, and him having this lead really, if it just stays green for a while, his picker doesn't make any mistakes, and Johnson obviously doesn't make any major mistakes, he should be all right. Because when that caution came out, we only ran about maybe 10 to 12 laps, and then we ended up having green flag pit stops again, so it's going to be a long time before he catches lap traffic at this 2.5-mile rectangular oval at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Johnson trying to win 3 straight races for the 2nd time this season. And can they keep this Hendrick Motorsports win streak alive? Johnson has won 6 in that stretch. Gordon with 2, 8 straight wins for Hendrick right now, and they've got 11 total on the season. 7 with Jimmy Johnson and 4 with Jeff Gordon. Each of those 2 drivers are the 2 most winningest drivers this season as well. Just dominating the summer months. But have they peaked too early is the big thing here. Because we're not into the chase yet. And I don't think they're going to keep this streak up forever. Like at some point, one of these 2 are not going to win a race. Johnson was luckily on his absolute 8+ game last night at New Hampshire when Jeff Gordon blew an engine. Johnson has not had a DNF this year. I'm not sure if Gordon had one before that or not. He had led the points for a handful of races at least. Even with Johnson having more wins, the consistency has been the major issue. Yes, he has no DNFs, but it's the first he's led in points all season. It took 18 races, just over half of the 34-race season, to be able to capture the lead in the standings, and it was literally with just 7 races to go until the chase begins. Johnson's expanded to a 3.7-second lead again, so it's just kind of fluctuating back and forth. That's how equal him and the second-place car is right now. It's hard to tell if there might be 2 slow cars on the racetrack. We know one of them is Sterling Marlin, Coors Light 40 car. The Bad News Bears. The Bad News Bears at least won in the end. Just a tad loose into turn 1 again. There's Sterling Marlin in the 40 now. He's definitely the only super slow car. Holding up Jimmy Johnson quite a bit that time. I mean, Jimmy had a little bit of room to get underneath Marlin, but he had to slow up big time in turn 2. Johnson goes from a 3.7-second lead down to about a 2.8-second lead. I think somebody just got in the wall in turn 3 as well. That last lap as we see heavy smoke. So we've caught Marlin since the green flag pit stops twice now. Lap 55. Let's see when we catch him the next time. I'm kind of curious now. That is super slow with this being a 2.5-mile track that we're catching him that quick. Marlin kind of holding up everybody else again, too. Pushes the lead back to 3.5 seconds again, so luckily Johnson wasn't the only one getting held up. It looked like second on back kind of got held up as well. I'll tell you what, if Marlin remains in this race to the end, if we do get any more cautions, it is going to be hectic on restarts catching up to him the first or second time. Or at least the first time when everybody's still definitely packed together. Ended up playing the world's smallest pile. And is that like the punishment for last place? We don't have a punishment for finishing last. We've thought about it the last couple of years, but we never did it. My first year in the league, I finished like second to last, and that was like the first year they were thinking about like doing something. I was like, oh, of course, my first year in the league. I ended up finishing like one game ahead of last place. I don't think I've ever finished dead last. I came close that first year. I came close another year. Like I don't. It might have been like the second or third year too. It's towards the bottom. It definitely took me a couple years to get the hang of it, but I pretty much got it down now. The last few years I've just been drafting really, really well because I don't make many free agent moves. Like this year, my team's just stacked. I mean, I've been flipping around reserves, and that's pretty much been about it. I've only really done it like twice. Now they're getting into more bye weeks, though, so I'm having to pick up guys that are on bye weeks. But well, don't have to this weekend at least. Vikings are on a bye. I got Adam Thielen, so I'm just hoping that Justin Jefferson could score. Either him or Randall Cobb. Cobb's been a hit or miss this season. Better in Madden. Well, in Madden, you get to control everything. That's the only thing is fantasy football. I mean, it is luck that you just kind of hope that the guys you draft at the beginning of the season pan out. But there is a strategy to it, though, too. Once you start winning and figuring out kind of how you're winning and why you're winning, then that's when it starts to click. If you get really, really good at it, I mean, you like never have a losing season. I mean, if I end up having a fourth straight winning season, I definitely know what I'm doing there. I mean, I think after I won the championship, I think I knew what I was doing, but still finishing, top half of the league after that is definitely helping me. A tournament winning man in there. There you go. Second place starting to close in on Stewart naturally this time, not with any help from Sterling Marlin. Got a 3.3 second lead into turn 3 that time. Halfway through the second fuel run of the race, the second set of pit stops will be right around the halfway mark. Longest green flag run of the race so far, just by a few laps exceeding the first green flag run of the race. Ah, there he goes. I took my hand off the control. I had a pop-up, and I was trying to get rid of it down the long straightaway. Well, that's the first time my controller disconnected. Luckily, it was in the middle of the straightaway, though. So we're good. And we were all by ourselves. See, this game, it pauses like every other game except for NASCAR Heat. I figured we were going to witness it at some point tonight. If I didn't have that pop-up, I was in the groove there. That's the only thing I hope it doesn't do is break my rhythm. I feel all right now, but I just feel like if that happens in heavy traffic or on a restart or something, I'm going to get my rhythm broken. It's going to take a few laps for me to get back in the groove of things. No, it can't be taken away from you. You're right. Yeah, Johnson, I just don't think is as fast in the second half of the run. He was running quick enough lap times before, but it seems like since hitting about lap or getting close to lap 60, about halfway through this run, he's just not quite putting together the lap times he once was. A few tenths of a second off, 2 to 3 tenths almost. About 2 tenths that last lap. Well, yeah, almost 3 tenths. So lap 55, we caught Sterling Marlin. Haven't caught him yet, but we're about to within the next lap or two. Probably next lap we'll catch him. So it seems like every 10 laps we're going to catch Sterling Marlin. Johnson's definitely going to catch Marlin next lap. All right, well, thanks for stopping by. Hopefully you tune in for the end of the race. Johnson stays really low off the exit of turn 2, wanting to stay away from Marlin. He's going to lose another lap. Second place within 3 seconds, about 2.9 seconds back into turn 3. He's going to end up catching Marlin here. Probably next lap for himself, maybe at the end of this lap. Kind of luck at the draw. Johnson caught him off the exit of the corner, but in a point where he was able to stay low and shoot underneath him with ease. But the first time he caught him, it was right in the middle of turn 2. He had to check up quite a bit, and that killed his speed down the back straightaway. Largest lead of the race now for Jimmy, just over 4 seconds. Second place car definitely had more troubles trying to get around Marlin that time. Johnson just hit halfway on fuel. It's one thing you don't have to worry about going a lap down, especially when you're pitting from the lead here at Indy. Johnson maybe get a short pit this run. And by short pit, I mean pit like pretty much right at lap 81, right at lap 82, just in case we get a caution, because a lot of cars will stay on the lead lap. And if we get a caution, he's going to be pinned behind everybody if he stays out versus pitting early. So that's really where short pitting plays a big, big factor at Indy for that reason, more so than because of the tires. Now, the tires do matter, that's for certain, but not as much as track position, seemingly, at this track. Johnson's going to have to start backing it down a little bit more on turn 4 in the laps he is pitting, though. I tried to practice pitting not once but twice in practice, and I sped both times. The first time I wasn't even close. Second time I was close, but I sped. That last time we were very close, but we didn't speed. So definitely kind of borderline there. That's the last thing Johnson would need while leading this race, is a pit road speeding penalty. So not as harsh as what they are in today's games, but still 5 seconds. When you have less than a 5-second lead, last thing Johnson wants to lose. He's stuck in second place. He's had problems trying to pass cars. Kevin Harvick, Tony Stewart, they've led for a decent amount of laps, only because, especially Harvick, only because Johnson's in second. He's been trying to get around him. He just can't get the run to get around him off the exit of the corners. Aggressive blocks on Harvick's behalf, and Stewart for that matter, too. Definitely didn't help. It's one thing, though, too. Indy's a pretty narrow racetrack, but on the restart, with it being a long straightaway, you can definitely see some moves being made. I mean, we saw Harvick lose out on a couple spots on that last restart. He was in second place. Johnson took off pretty well. Harvick did not. Stewart got underneath him. Jeff Gordon got underneath him. About 10 laps away from seeing green flag pit stops from the rest of the field. Johnson overdrove turn one quite a bit there. He's got no pressure, though, behind him. He'll lose a little bit of ground, but no worries, really. So I was thinking last night that Rusty Wallace was going to end up causing an accident because of how slow he was. Well, this is a much faster racetrack, and Sterling Marlin is off the pace slow and down a cylinder. And man, Wallace didn't cause one last night. I'd be shocked if Marlin doesn't cause one today. Next stream on the channel will be tomorrow night. More NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005 action with the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series. We go road course racing for the second and final time, not only in the regular season, but on the season as a whole, as we head to the Watkins Glen International. And our coverage will begin at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow night on the channel, so you won't want to miss that race. 90 laps at the Glen for the Cup Series on NASCAR 05. Trying to get Jimmy Johnson his first championship. He's looking pretty strong today in the clean air, at least. Dirty air, his car still handles well, but struggles trying to pass. Well, he's just a factor of this racetrack. I mean, he was fine. He started 6th and he got up to 2nd on lap 4, but took him to lap 25 just to get to the lead. Next lap after that, we got a caution, so it's a good thing that he was able to make the pass for the lead when he did. Speaking of Sterling Marlin, Johnson's going to catch Marlin again on the next lap. Should be the last time he catches him before he has to pit again. Unless Marlin pits before him. And it's going to be tough. You can see Marlin up ahead off turn 4. Now onto the long front straightaway. I think Johnson's going to catch him in turn 1. He might catch him in a really bad spot. Huge closing rate into the first turn. And he did catch him in a bad spot. He tried to check up and still got into the back of him. And Johnson was on the brakes heavily into turn 1 and still made contact with Sterling Marlin. .1 second lead down to 3.3. Now 3.4. Johnson tries to get that momentum and speed back. See how much Marlin's going to cost second place now. Couple tenths already. Now they're onto the front straightaway. It's back to 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, 4.4, 4.5. Now second place really getting held up by Marlin a lot more than Johnson again. So the 3 times Johnson has caught Sterling Marlin now in this race. Only once second place is actually able to gain ground on Johnson with a net gain. Johnson has pulled away twice now. 4.7 second lead. Now his largest of the race right before our second pit stops. Nobody's pit yet. Don't want to pit right now. You got to pit as close to lap 80 as possible. Currently at lap 77. Johnson's got enough fuel. He could go probably 4 or 5 laps after. He was able to definitely save quite a bit under that first caution. Without the yellow, he was probably going to make it to about lap 42 on his first stop. He pitted at lap 41 anyway, but he definitely had enough fuel to run a little bit longer. He feels comfortable. Might take it a couple laps longer this time, but maybe lap 82, 83 just to be safe, but I don't see it being an issue today for us for fuel like it will for at least some other drivers. Somebody coming up out of the pit lane into turn 2. Was it Sterling Marlin? I think it might have been. Whoever it is, they're super slow. It is Marlin, so he did pit before the rest of the field, so Johnson will get underneath him into turn 3, flying by the 40 of Marlin. There it is, low fuel now for Johnson, quarter tank left. Yeah, that is definitely good proof. I'm surprised it's only disconnected on me once. It's not because of a dead battery. This is this is not a wireless controller. It's just having some malfunctions. Unfortunately, I have to keep it as still as possible, and it's all right. I mean, disconnected on me 4 times between practice and qualifying, so for it only doing it once in the first half of this race, that's pretty good. Marlin held up the rest of the field even more, a 5.8 second lead for Jimmy Johnson before the second pit stop now. Somebody is on pit road with a blown engine. Saw some heavy smoke down there. A lot of other drivers exiting pit road after they pitted at lap 79. More cars pitting this time at lap 80, so definitely the window is open to being able to make it on 2 more stops to the finish from here on out. Johnson will stay out to lead a few more laps and then come into the pits. And then pretty much from this point on, you're just banking, as far as the fuel situation goes, on us not getting a weird caution at a situation where it's going to be close to making on fuel. As long as that doesn't happen, Should be all right. Cross flags. We're halfway home at Indy. Jimmy Johnson trying to get his first career Brickyard 400 victory. This is a track that both Johnson and Gordon have won a lot at throughout their NASCAR careers. Up to this point, Johnson has not won his first Brickyard 400 yet, trying to do it here in this 2004 season. Gordon going to try to replicate history and win it today, just like he did in real life. Another car just up ahead who pitted a while back. Not a while, a couple laps ago. Second place just pit that last time by. Now, there are some drivers who will lose a lap, but not everybody. Not sure where Bobby Labonte was running before. It takes about 52 seconds to make a lap, even for the faster cars around here. Fastest lap for Johnson today was a 52.104, and he's got one of the faster cars in the field. And Tony Stewart, Kevin Harvick seem to be the three fastest in this race. Johnson stays out another lap here at lap 83. Casey Kane just coming out of the pit lane. Johnson ran a little bit wider in turn 2, but Casey gets back up to speed. Good time for Casey to get up to speed. A couple car length gaps still between himself and where Jimmy Johnson's at. Johnson a little bit wide. Or sorry, Casey Kane, my bad, a little bit wide. Turn 3. Johnson not quite big enough of a run there off turn 4 to get underneath him. He'll sit behind him for now. Casey going to go wide in turn 1. He might be just opening the door for Johnson to get underneath him. We got the 38 of Elliott Sadler coming out of the pit lane. Oh, that was a bad time for my controller to disconnect. We're going to unpause. I'm scared we're going to just blast Elliott Sadler. I flinched, and that's why the controller disconnected. Oh, this is not going to be good. I don't think I can press X and... Oh, I knew that was going to happen. At least we didn't hit him. Man, that was not a good moment for the controller to disconnect. That was terrible. That was because I moved it up. It's got the malfunction it's got. Well, now is definitely a good time for Johnson to pit after this, by far, going to be his slowest lap of the race. Been pretty clean and consistent up until then. Locking the brakes up a little early this time, though, making sure that he was going to back it down a lot slower to not risk speeding. 4 tires and fuel coming up for the 48 of Johnson, as he makes his second pit stop of the day at lap 84. I was scared to unpause that. I knew that was going to happen. I was scared we were going to take the 38 with us, though. I mean, the car looks pretty all right, though. In all fairness. I mean, that's because we didn't get into the wall really before. I mean, we got in the wall in the opening lap, and I think that was the only other time we got in the wall this entire race. Oh my gosh. I was having troubles with that in practice, getting onto the racing surface. Greg Biffle stayed out at least one lap longer to get a lap led. Hopefully Tony Stewart is not going to be the leader. Hopefully it's Jimmy Johnson who's going to be in the lead, but Jimmy definitely lost a lot of time there. Plus, whoever was in second place pitted about 3 or 4 laps before him as well. There's the 40 of Marlin that Johnson will catch in turn 4, and that's going to cost Johnson a little bit of time as well, having to check up behind the 40. I think Sadler's thankful that the game paused because he didn't want to DNF 5 races in a row. I mean, it was just, he had to pull up onto the racetrack because the excess road disappears off turn 1. So he had to get back on. That the wall kind of pops out right. Well, I guess he could have stayed on it, but it's a lot more narrow into turn 2. It's not actually designed for stock cars to go through that second one, but yeah, he pulled back onto the track. He was just doing his job. It just didn't help. We were side by side with Casey Kane, and I mean, we had to lift. We had nowhere to go. Kane was already on the high side of us. Yeah, I just hope our first DNF of the season does not come between tonight and tomorrow with this controller. Thursday, I'll have the new one. I got 2 of them coming in, so you know, if for some reason I have this issue ever again, I mean, it took about a year for it to happen this time, so. But if it does happen, say a couple months down the road again, then at least we won't have to wait it out. Take something massive to cause a DNF. Well, to a certain extent, yeah. In 2005, yes. For whatever reason, this game is a lot harder to DNF in the NASCAR Thunder 04. I mean, we haven't really wrecked a lot, though, either. I've been a lot cleaner in this game. I think a lot of it is because I've got more experience playing this game. I barely played NASCAR Thunder 04, so when we got into it, it was like almost like a new game on top of it, on top of how difficult the game is. Like, this game is difficult, but I played this. This is the NASCAR game I played the most. So it was kind of like it took a couple races to get the hang of it again, but after like 3 or 4 full races, I was good to go. Like Thunder 04, every new track we went to that first season, it was just like a new challenge because I had not played the game. I had imagined NASCAR 08 and 09 are going to be the same thing. NASCAR 21 Ignition is probably going to be the same thing here coming up. Like NASCAR Heat 5, you remember our first season with the Xfinity Series? It was one of the first seasons we did on the championship mode there. Not only we had the wild Talladega finish, but remember, I didn't win that many races in that season. That was on championship mode, not even the career mode. I mean, it takes time to master a new game, and I mean, it took me a few months to like consistently be a winning threat every single race, so and get the right setup and everything. So NASCAR 21 Ignition, that first season, it's going to be the same way, especially with a lot of new tracks coming in. Career mode the first season is probably going to be rough too, I would have to imagine. We'll do what we can. It'll be fun though. The challenge is what's super fun about new games. But this one I was kind of able to step in and dominate from the get-go. Obviously we didn't finish too hot in the Daytona 500, but again, it was kind of the first race. And it does drive a little bit different from Thunder 04, so I was kind of used to that almost after, switching from that to this. Feels like the cars are kind of planted to the ground a little bit better in this, so like you might be turning earlier because it's not as planted into the ground in the other games versus this one. So kind of the cornering's off a little bit. So Johnson still has the lead. He went from about a 6.5 second lead down to about a 3.6 second lead after he had gotten into the wall trying to avoid Elliott Sadler, who was coming out of the pit lane while Casey Kane was right there. Luckily, Johnson got on the brakes in time to where he didn't get into either Sadler or Kane. They were able to drive off, but Johnson cost himself some time, that's for sure. But he only cost about half the time he had over second place. Still one more pit stop to go, and we still got 70 laps to go, this time by in the Brickyard 400. Johnson to try and win here at Indy. DB Forever 85, welcome to the stream. They're going to go to Bristol next year all weekend. You should, man. If you've never been there before, you got to do it at some point. You talk about the night race next year? Yeah, usually I only go to the cup races to try, basically, just to save money is the big thing, so I could go to more races throughout the season. But with Bristol, I knew that whenever I was going to go to the Bristol night race, which it happened to be this year, that I was going to go to all 3 nights of racing. Same thing with Daytona. I'm going to be at Daytona for the full speed weeks. Usually, I don't see the Truck, Xfinity, and Cup. The only other racetrack I've seen Truck, Xfinity, and Cup race in the same weekend was Pocono, but that's because the Cup race was Saturday and Sunday, so I went to both Cup races. Hence, I was at the track early enough in the day to go to the Truck and the Xfinity race on Sunday afternoon as well, so it all kind of like played out well. I'd seen a couple races where I've seen Xfinity before the Cup Series. I've never seen a Truck race on the same weekend as the Cup until Pocono, because the only other Truck Series race I'd ever seen outside of Pocono was the Eldora 2019 race, and that was a single day show. Same thing with Mid Ohio with the Xfinity Series this year. That was a single day show, and both those tracks are in my home state, so they were both within 2 hours. So it wasn't a long drive at all to get there. I knew I could sleep back in my own house, didn't have to pay for hotel or anything. Plus, Xfinity and Truck tickets are way cheaper than Cup tickets too, so the cost was, dirt cheap. Terry Lewis, welcome to the stream as well. Either one, but prefer the night race. Yeah, you definitely got to go to the night race. I mean, you can definitely go. I'm going to Dirt Bristol next year. I won't be at the night race next year, but I will be at Dirt Bristol next season. I wanted to go to Dirt Bristol this year. I couldn't, so that's why I ended up going to Night Bristol. Glad I did, because the truck race was a little bit of a wreck fest. And the Xfinity race to a certain extent was, but at least there was some green flag racing. The Xfinity race, Cup race was just a solid 10 out of 10 race all the way around. The Xfinity race, if the finish wasn't the way it was, I don't think I would have said 10 out of 10. I probably would have said like 8 or 9 out of 10 for the Xfinity race, but that finish made it a 10 out of 10. Because it was probably about an 8 out of 10 before that, but that finish was the best finish I've ever seen in person, any series. And I've been to Talladega twice, too. I mean, that was definitely the best. And I saw Kyle Larson blow a tire at Pocono this year, too, on the final lap. That was wild. I've seen some wild finishes this year. Dega was a pretty good finish this year and last year. Yeah, the Pocono finish, both Pocono finishes, because the fuel mileage race was pretty good, too. And now that one. Bristol night race for both the Cup and the Xfinity were crazy good. Robbie Gordon struggled to get around the 40 of Marlin, lost a lot of speed there. Johnson gets by Marlin. He should get to the inside of Robbie Gordon into turn 3 as well, and he will. Making the pass, Gordon has a little bit of damage on the back bumper after backing it into the wall at lap 26, bringing out that first caution of the race. So now Robbie Gordon is a lap down, but he is the first car a lap down, and it's going to be a little bit for Johnson catches another lap car, so maybe he'll get lucky and get another yellow. They're definitely off the pace with his damage. Not as off the pace as Sterling Marlin, who's down to full cylinder or more, but gotcha. Oh, yeah, you were at Texas this weekend, weren't you? Somebody in the chat was supposed to go to Texas this weekend. I forgot about it. I think it might have been you. I know somebody during a stream last week said that I can't wait for Texas this weekend. I'm going or something like that. So yeah, definitely got to get to Bristol. It is well worth it. Well worth it. At least the Cup race, but if you can go all 3 nights, you'll enjoy it. I've been there twice now, and I enjoyed it both times. That was my first Bristol night race, though. The first time I went was the All-Star race, which technically is at night, but wasn't the same. Especially with it being in the playoffs. And I mean, there was so much drama at the end with all the cutoff spots. That's why I can't wait for Martinsville in 2 weeks. It's going to be the same kind of drama. You know, maybe tempers will flare. I wasn't expecting tempers to flare at Bristol. You never expect it to happen until it happens. And you're like, oh boy. But, who knows, man? It should be. Bristol was so good. If I see something crazy at Martinsville, I mean, that would just be par for the course for what I've seen at the track this season in person. This has definitely been the best year for me as a fan going to races. Obviously, it's the most tracks I've been to by far in a single season. The most tracks I've ever been to, or most races, I should say, I've never been to in person in a single season was 6 before this year. And this year will be 11 after Martinsville in a couple weeks. So, and that's not even counting the Xfinity Series one-off show. That's just the Cup, 11 Cup races. And the IndyCar race I saw at Indianapolis too on the road course. Aiden Rowland, welcome to the stream. And yeah, thanks for the 1,000 subs. Got there a couple weeks ago. Hard to believe. Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago already. Crazy. Lap 100 this time by. Lead at 3.5 seconds for Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy calm and cool as he typically is. Pretty much had this kind of a lead ever since the first pit stops. He got out to about a 3.7 second lead, and it really hasn't been below 2.5 seconds since. And it's been as high as about 6.5 seconds. Johnson does seem to be a little bit slower in the second half of the tire stint. We're kind of getting to that point here within the next couple laps. So maybe that gap will start to close a little bit again, but we still got one more pit stop yet to go, at least. Again, depending on cautions. Johnson plans on pitting one time regardless, but it's going to depend on if we do get a yellow, when exactly it will fly. Oh, for sure, Aiden. For sure. You definitely would have been added as a moderator, but I'm having a controller situation right now where it disconnects on me if I don't keep it flat. So I can't really take my hand off the controller for a quick second to do that. So I'll try to remember after the stream to go back into the chat afterwards and get you. I haven't seen you in a while. That's really the only way I can do it is if I see you guys in the chat and I add it. But hey, welcome back though. Hopefully you're enjoying yourself. Staying safe. Yep, admins and mods are here. Yeah, you were definitely here during the NASCAR Heat 4 days. That would be about accurate. Because we, I think you were here during the NASCAR Heat 4 days. I mean, we had, I think if I remembered right, it was like 82 or 84 subscribers, something like that. Because we literally, from the time we started NASCAR Heat 5 to the time we ended it last Thursday, we literally had over 1,000 subscribers just since NASCAR Heat 5. This was awesome. Mercury, welcome to the stream as well. Bounce off the curb there for Jimmy. He's only done that a couple times today. It hasn't really costed him. It did cost him the lead to Tony Stewart at one point, but then Johnson's crew had a little bit faster stop than Tony Stewart. He got back ahead of him in the green flag pit stops, but it's one thing, though, too. Johnson's crew has not made a mistake on pit road, and it's actually been a few races since they have. Daytona was the last time they made a mistake. Knock on wood, this final pit stop is a clean one for Johnson as well, so he can keep this decent gap. Thought on NASCAR 21, yeah, I kind of briefly stated stuff earlier. The game hasn't released yet, so they can still kind of, patch stuff up within the next week or so. That's why they have given, pre-releases to, people that play the games on YouTube, so they can give them the feedback and stuff ahead of time, so they can try to fix it as much as they can the last week before the release. My thoughts on it are pretty brief, only because I haven't played the game myself. What I've seen, it doesn't completely wow me, but it is the first game in the series. I understand why that is the case. I think that the game, it was a little overhyped. Not so much by NASCAR Heat. I don't think it was overhyped, or by the makers of NASCAR 21 Ignition. I don't think it was overhyped by them so much as what it was really the fans and the people wanting the release of the new game. I feel like we're kind of overhyping it more than anything else, and people, on YouTube channels kind of overhyping NASCAR 21 Ignition maybe to a certain extent. I was kind of always along the lines of, pump the brakes. We haven't seen any gameplay until like a month ago of the game. So, I was just kind of waiting on that. And, from the stuff that NASCAR 21 Ignition releases, the game looks super good. But as far as the physics go, I'm not going to know until I play exactly how it feels. Then I can give you a better feedback on it. As far as, the graphics and stuff, I think they're slightly better than the NASCAR Heat series, but they're good. They have a lot of fine details that are far better than probably any other NASCAR game ever. And Sterling Marlin holding up both Jimmy Johnson and Doug Ferguson in turn one. Johnson had to check up quite a bit to get around both race cars. Able to use Marlin as a pick to get around Ferguson as well, but now the lead's down to 2.3 seconds all of a sudden. So Jimmy checked up big time in turn one. Cool to see a couple hockey fans down in the chat. A few of them in the chat today. I feel like hockey should be watched more. I don't know why it isn't. Especially in the playoffs. Hockey is the best playoff sport. The crowd is into it from round one to the Stanley Cup Finals. So every goal matters so much. I mean, any goal could be the winning goal in any game, too. So, best of 7 series. Don't say anything about the Bulls. All I talked about it was that Derrick Henry's a beast. I'm glad he's on my fantasy team. And that he's my favorite player. And it has been my favorite player in the league that isn't on the Packers. Which is pretty much saying he's my favorite player outside of Aaron Rodgers. So Marlin didn't hold up the second place driver as much as Jimmy Johnson. The lead is about 2.9 to 3 seconds. So the 5 or 6 times Johnson has caught Marlin, he's only lost time to the car trying to chase him for the lead twice. Hasn't been much lap traffic for Johnson today outside of Marlin catching him every 10 laps or so. him being down a cylinder or two. And we're about to see more lap traffic here in the next couple laps. And it's going to be pretty consistent from that point on. We'll see how much of a factor it will make. We still have about a dozen laps until the pit window opens to be able to make it on fuel to the end of the race. But as soon as we get really close to that 40 to go mark, you're going to see some drivers short pit and dive into the pit lane. Johnson will probably take it a couple laps further. Again, he pitted 4 laps after lap 80 the last time. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like EA Sports has been pretty bad with their sports games for a while now. But for whatever reason, though, NHL is still a top-notch game. It's kind of like they don't really mess with that game as much as the other games. I feel like that's why it's as good as it is. like just don't touch it. Please don't touch it. Yeah, NHL is usually a pretty good game. I fell in love with it as soon as I played it for the first time. Around 08, 09. That's really what kind of I don't want to say that got me into hockey because I watched hockey before, but I really didn't watch outside of the playoffs. But from playing the first ever NHL game I ever played 10 years ago or so, from that point on, I've really followed the Red Wings. I go to games a couple times a year. Definitely plan on trying to get to a couple games again this season. But hockey's super fun to watch. TV, in person, doesn't matter. It's just non-stop action. It's kind of like NASCAR. It's just non-stop. The only difference is you get ad breaks, and you don't miss the action during the ad breaks. Also, behind the scenes, I am working on a new video, so I watched the race on, I don't even think I told you guys about where I watched the race this weekend, but I watched the race on Peacock this weekend. Tested out, of course, there was, I believe, the first race that they tested out on Peacock this weekend, so going to have a pros and cons kind of video on that experience, likely coming out on Thursday when I'm off of work. But kind of been taking notes during my breaks at work today. I'll do the same thing tomorrow, so that way I'll know what to talk about during the video. But yeah, I plan on making a video on that. So I usually don't go outside the box with those kinds of videos. I really wanted to start doing it. I think as we get closer to the off season, I think you'll see more of that stuff on the channel. But I guess that'll be kind of a different type of video. But I got some pretty good feedback. I'd say there were more pros than cons, but the cons were pretty big with it. So, but I feel like it's something they could fix too. So I don't think it's not anything they could fix. I feel like I'm not a tech guy, so I don't know what it would take to fix it. And I've had Peacock. I've watched stuff on Peacock before because I'm a WWE fan or pro wrestling fan, and I've watched the pay-per-views because they're on Peacock now instead of moved it over from the WWE network around WrestleMania last year, so that's how I get my WWE fix. Side by side and Indy with the lap traffic. Stuff ahead, a 2.7 second lead now. Johnson trying to get under the 123 car down the back straightaway. He's got a decent run on him. It is tough to pass that Indy though. Jimmy's had troubles trying to do it, so now he's catching lap traffic again. I should say really for the first time today he's catching consistent lap traffic. And that first caution race kind of came at a point where they weren't at the lap traffic yet. That bought more time before catching anybody. Johnson cleared the 123, but now that 123 car tries to cross him back over off turn 4. Johnson will remain in front. It's like the 171 trying to cross over Kyle Petty into turn 1 as well. Petty going to go lap down. Johnson trying to get around Steve Thomas. Clears him in the short chute now. Of 3 and 4, Kyle Petty to the inside, trying to follow Johnson's line to get around that 171 car, and he will clear Thomas off the exit of turn 4. Sabres don't say 3. They're not going to go undefeated throughout the season. The 82-game season, they're going to lose some games. I wouldn't take it too personally in the regular season, unless they fall off the face of the earth and they, miss the playoffs or something. But they've had a pretty decent team the last couple of years. I think they'll be all right. Marlin holding up that 105 car. Johnson off the curbing in turn 3 as he tried to go low, and after bouncing off the curbing, he kind of clipped the 105 and the 40 of Marlin. Off the curb again in turn 1, and Johnson's going to go wide there, and he's going to get into the wall now. Curbing really messed him up big time in turn 1, so Johnson's struggling in traffic. Back to a 2.3 second lead, though, because it took time for the second place car to get around the slow car of Marlin as well. They're catching him every 10 laps, so we're probably going to catch him another 4 or 5 times the rest of this race. The only reason I say 5 is because of the green flag pit stops. We caught him an extra time during the last run because he pitted before everybody else. So I expect him to pit pretty soon here, as well as the rest of the field. Salty about the Thrashers going to Winnipeg. You from Atlanta? That would sting a little bit. That is the case. I mean, let's be honest though. You think like hockey, you think Canada most of the time. You don't really think the city of Atlanta. That's why it's kind of weird that Florida's got 2 teams. Just the climate of it. Lightning have a pretty big following, though. Granted, it helps when they've been super good the last decade, but can't say the same about the Panthers, though. I feel like even before COVID, you saw a lot of empty seats at Panthers games. Whenever the Red Wings would play, it would be like a Friday or Saturday night, and that place would be like half full at best. Three hours from Atlanta, so that was your home team probably then. Yeah, that stinks. Well, we got some drivers hitting pit road at lap 117, coming to lap 118. So the final pit stops of the day are going on. By far the longest green flag run of the race. Again, we've only had one caution. It was at lap 26. The window is open now to make it to the end, so we don't have to worry about a weird caution making it a fuel mileage race. Everybody should be fine to be able to make it on 3 stops to the end, as we expected. And Johnson has struggled in lap traffic, though, plus the fact that he doesn't quite have as strong of a car in the second half of the run. And at one point, he had a 6.5 second lead on this green flag run. It's down to a 1.5 seconds. Again, second place has just kind of slowly clawed their way in as this run carries on. Johnson to the inside of the 177 off the exit of turn 4. Not going to clear him on the front straightaway, so he's going to try to clear him into 1. Side drafting definitely slowed Johnson down, running side by side. Now it's down to a 1.3 second lead. Johnson's fastest lap of the race at 52.104 was still on that opening fuel run of the race. Obviously not going to hit that at this point in the run. Close to making that final stop. I believe there's only just one lap car between the top two right now, and that would be the 177. Just barely behind Jimmy Johnson. Definitely going to have to watch the lap traffic coming out of the pits. Johnson had a problem with Elliott Sadler earlier in the race. Dale Jarrett coming out of the pits, but he's way ahead of the 48. Won't have to worry about him. So far, so good. Johnson definitely relying on this pit crew, and he's definitely got to be reliant not to speed entering into the pits as well. Backing down quite a bit off the exit of turn 4 to keep from doing that. And second place is pulling onto pit road that last lap. 40 laps to go now for Johnson. He will pit this time by for his final stop of the day now that second place is already pitting one lap early. Can he gain 1.2 seconds with 40 lap fresher tires for one lap? Johnson's crew needs to come out on top. Jared, Robbie Gordon side by side up ahead. They're slowing each other up. Oh, man, Jared pulled clear right in the middle of turn 3 and almost took himself out with Robbie Gordon. Johnson definitely going to have to get through the lap traffic a little better. 160 plus miles an hour, trying to get it down to 70. And he does. Perfectly done. Actually, didn't even lock the tires up that time. It's the first time he didn't lock the tires up on the 3 green flag stops to this point. No adjustments. 4 tires and fuel for Jimmy Johnson. This is the money stop for the 48 Lowe's crew. 12 people watching right now. Thanks for everybody tuning in here today. 8 likes currently on the stream, so hit that like button. Run the likes up. Helps me out a ton. And there is problems on the front tire changer. Something with the air gun. Big problems on that right front, and this is an extremely slow stop. 18 seconds for Jimmy Johnson, and that might have just costed him the lead in the Brickyard 400. It has been extremely tough to pass, and there goes Tony Stewart. Oof. Wasn't the greatest pit road exit either, but that was a big mistake on the money stop that time. And it is so tough to pass at Indy. We've seen problems with it all day long. And now Tony Stewart could be in prime position to win the Brickyard 400 in his home state. Greg Biffle still on the track, getting laps led in. Johnson has clinched the most laps led as well. He's going to have 1 lap fresher tires here than Tony Stewart, but it's going to wear off probably by the end of the next lap. So he's got to gain that ground now, or at least get close enough to be in the draft by the end of this next lap. He's trying to really reel Tony Stewart in. He's closing quickly. Got a lap car that Stewart's closing in on. See if Johnson can get around Stewart, maybe pick him behind that lap car. It's likely going to be the best way to try and make the pass. Greg Biffle is the only other driver that has to hit pit road. Stewart to the inside of the 137. Stewart's getting held up a little bit. That's going to give Johnson a little bit of a run. Off of turn 4. Going for the eventual lead on Stewart. Tony got held up just enough by the 137. Can Johnson clear before they get into turn 1? He does. But now can Johnson get through the lap traffic? He struggled with it Hasn't had to really work with it until about the last 10 laps before that final pit stop. But if it stays green to the end, he's going to be working through it the rest of the race. So he needs to get used to it, and quickly. All of them are on the lead lap, too, so they're going to fight the leader pretty hard to try and stay on the lead lap in case we get another caution. Oh, Sterling Marlin's coming up. Johnson checked up off the exit of 4 to keep from running into the back of Johnny Sauter. He'll clear Sauter and Marlin on the front stretch. Biffle is in the pits now. Johnson takes the lead at the start-finish line with 36 laps to go in the Brickyard 400. Stewart got held up a little bit behind Marlin as well. It's a 7/10 of a second lead with 36 to go at Indianapolis for Jimmy Johnson. Trying to win his first Brickyard 400 and trying to keep this Hendrick Motorsports amazing win streak alive. It is at 8 races coming into this one. Johnson was 6 in that stretch. Gordon with 2. Tony Stewart going to be the one to try and spoil that streak. Can they make it 9 in a row? Gordon's been in the top 5 most of the day. Not sure how far ahead Stewart is compared to 3rd place. Johnny Sauter's still in between Johnson and Stewart right now. He was the pole sitter, so he's got decent speed, you would think. He has fallen off the pace quite a bit, though, throughout the course of the race. It's not running too hot right now, but definitely won't be an easy car to pass. No cars are easy to pass at this racetrack. Excuse me. This is getting intense. One of the biggest races of the season. Ricky Craven will be the next lap car. Stewart lost about another 1/10 of a second getting around Johnny Sauter. He clears him into turn 3. Off of turn 3 into 4, I should say. Johnson in the draft to Craven on the straightaway. Dives to the bottom. Oh, he drove it in too early. Now he's underneath Craven into 2. Lost a little bit of time. He clears Craven off the exit of turn 2. This is going to be very, very big game of cat and mouse here of who can get through the lap traffic quicker between Johnson and Stewart. Stewart knows he's within striking distance. I'm sure his crew chief Greg Zipadelli has already told him that, hey, Johnson's pit crew made a huge mistake. That is why you're as close to him as you are right now. Keep digging. 18-second stop. And it was the front tire changer who had problems with the air gun. Trying to get the right front tire off. We mentioned that was not needed, obviously, but it coming in literally the worst time. These guys will not have to pit the rest of this race. I doubt you're going to see anybody pit if we get any more cautions. At least at the front of the field, because it is a track position track. It's so hard to pass. It's just not going to be worth taking fresh tires and risk restarting back further in the field. No lap cars between the top 2 anymore. Stewart gets around Craven a lot quicker than what Johnson did. 6/10 of a second, almost. About 7/10 of a second at the start-finish line. 32 long laps that Indy remain. Patrick Shadley, welcome to the stream. Finally, people to stop bothering me so I can walk. Well, thanks for tuning in as always. Johnson a little bit quicker through 1 and 2 that time than Stewart. It seems like Johnson is pretty even with Stewart the first half of the run. It's the second half of the run. Once you get about 20 laps on these tires where Stewart starts to be a little bit quicker than Johnson, even without traffic. And the traffic's only going to make it worse for the 48, so I think he's fine now. But we get down to 15, 20 laps to go. It's going to be tough. Tony is definitely one of the better drivers here at Indy, but then again, so is Jimmy Johnson. So this is going to be a good fight. Ready for Crown Jewel? Oh, the WWE pay-per-view. When I said Crown Jewels, they get you pumped for that. Yeah, I'm glad Thursday's like one of my days off, so even though it's at noon, I won't miss it. So I'll be watching it live. 30 to go at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen. We got 12 people watching. Have had for a little bit now, up to 10 likes on the stream. See if we can get that to 15 by the end of it. That's a good number, good goal number. Johnson is slowly gapping Stewart. Seemed like Johnson was a little bit quicker in one, but then Stewart kind of gained that time back in turn two. Maybe a little better to do it then because of the longer straightaway off the exit of two versus that short shoot off of one. I'm most interested in the Seth Rollins and Edge Hell in a Cell match. I'm loving every bit of that feud right now. Ever since SummerSlam, that's been pretty good. I saw one of the first episodes of SmackDown in person. They were in Cleveland when they came back from COVID, and that feud was just starting. It was like the second week into that feud, and it was like the second SmackDown back, so that was pretty cool. Didn't get to see Edge wrestle, though. I haven't seen him wrestle in person, but I got to see him cut a promo, and him and Rollins kind of fight each other, I guess, a little bit in their street clothes. I'm a big Seth Rollins fan, though, too, so... Of, like, the current roster right now, I'd probably say Rollins would be my top guy. Triple H will always be my favorite. Obviously, you know, when guys like Edge come back, I mean, he was a huge part of my childhood. Edge was pretty cool. Rey Mysterio. Those guys still kicking it right now. Randy Orton. That's your favorite match on the card. Yeah, when they announced the Hell in a Cell stipulation, I was like, all right, here we go. It's cool that they announced stipulations for that on non self-titled pay-per-views. It's not a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, and we're getting a Hell in a Cell match, so it should be pretty good. We got two lap cars under a blanket right now. Ward Burton and then the 177 car as well, and Sterling Marlin is right in front of him. Johnson quickly gets to the inside. He got around Marlin perfectly. And the 177 checked up behind Marlin on the high side, so Johnson got around him quickly, too. My goodness, that's, what is that, the third time the controller's disconnected? Again, for those of you just tuning in, I've had an issue with it today for whatever reason. It disconnects on me randomly. So as soon as it started doing that, I purchased a new controller, so you just got to bear with me. I was praying that it wasn't going to happen a lot tonight. And it's only happened 3 times, which it really happened like 4 times between practice and qualifying. So the fact that over a couple-hour race, it's only done 3 times, it's not that bad. But thank goodness it's not just like spamming on me. I'm really hoping it doesn't do that at Watkins Glen tomorrow, but I'll have the new controller on Thursday, so I'll be good, 100% good to go after that. Just praying that it doesn't cause an accident today and tomorrow. Johnson got around Ward Burton pretty quickly, too. Tony Stewart got held up behind Sterling Marlin in the 40 as well, so the lead is stretched to 1.3 seconds for Johnson, so a little bit more comfortable than what it was after the green flag pit stops. We're going to alternate through the different camera angles one final time in today's race for about the next 8 laps. Barry Baker in the 119 car will be the next lap car that Jimmy Johnson will have to catch. Johnson about a tenth of a second quicker that last lap than Stewart as well. Again, Stewart is a little bit faster in the second half of the run, though. So although Johnson kind of slowly pulling away from him now, between lap traffic and just overall speed, Tony Stewart will be a little bit quicker those final 15 to 20 laps. So again, it's just going to be really trying to manage that lap traffic. Who can get through it better? Stewart has not been within this close of the lead outside of the pit stop since the first pit stop of the race today. We've had 3 total. Johnson's crew was on it those first 2 stops, but they were completely off of it. Oh, we got a car in the wall off turn 2. Not Barry Baker, but the other lap car ahead of Johnson just hit the wall off turn 2. That's why there was smoke there. We luckily stayed green, and luckily Johnson's far enough behind that he didn't have to worry about him. Johnson clears Barry Baker in turn 3. Clean pass. Very efficient and quick as well. Could be wrong about Barry being the champ someday. I guess it just depends on the push. Johnson overdrove 3 pretty badly. Kind of skirted the tires a little bit. Lost about 0.2 of a second that last lap to Stewart because of it. Not quite at that point in the run, though, where Stewart is faster yet. We are getting there. We will get there pretty soon. .149 car is the next lap car ahead of Johnson. After that, he's going to have a bit of a break before the next lap car. So a little bit of clean air in front of the 48 again after that. I'd probably guess that Sterling Marlin will be the next lap car just because of how much further ahead everybody else is. And how slow Marlin is. We'll probably get to him first. As well, all those cars in front of us still. Definitely help Johnson as well. He needs all the help he can get. Bobby Boone in the 149 car, by the way. Johnson going to draft behind Bobby down the front straightaway. See how nice Bobby's going to be here. Bobby going to go wide in turn 2. Johnson underneath him. Can't quite clear him, though, off the exit of turn 2. Should get him into turn 3. Side by side right now. Johnson overdrove the corner, almost got into him. Johnson clear off turn 4. Took him a little bit of time to get around Boone. Back to a 1.2 second lead again. But back to also having 1 lap car between the top 2 again as well. 20 laps to go in the Brickyard 400 for Jimmy Johnson. He's dominated this race. Not as dominant as last night at New Hampshire by any means, but I don't think we'll ever dominate a race like that ever again. Not only in this game, but in general. Any NASCAR game at this point. Leading every single lap in a cup race on an EA Sports game, I will take it. First time ever on the channel. 19 laps to go. First time ever for a cup race as far as this game on the channel. We did do it for a cup race in NASCAR Heat 5 at Sonoma in our final career mode season there. Led all 110 laps. Again, from about 15 to 20 to go, somewhere in that range, Johnson's lap times not going to be as fast as Stewart. That's as far as the first three tire stints in this race have gone. You know, maybe Stewart went backwards on adjustments and isn't quite as fast as what he was early in the race. I mean, that could be possible. And the 40 of Sterling Marlin will get caught very, very soon. Johnson should catch him in a good spot, though, down the back straightaway. We'll see if Stewart's going to catch him down the back straightaway as well. That was probably the best spot that Johnson has caught Marlin in this race, and he should only catch Sterling one more time. Tony Stewart going to catch him down the back straightaway as well, likely get around him pretty quickly into turn 3. Oh, no, he didn't, though. Stewart didn't even get underneath him until in the middle of turn 3, and now Tony Stewart is falling off the pace again. At the hands of Sterling Marlin, twice in a row now, and first he went from 0.7 of a second back to about 1.2 seconds back, and now he's about 1.9 seconds off the lead. So we'll go back to the far chase cam for the rest of the race now. 17 laps to go at Indy. 1.8 second lead for Jimmy Johnson. Marlin buying him a little bit more time, and those two only have to catch Marlin one more time the rest of this race. Johnson should catch more lap traffic, I would have to imagine, but it's still going to be a little bit. Probably closer to about 10 to go before he catches another lap car. This lead is not that great. Yeah, what? Hopefully. It's a shorter race, but I got to keep my hands still, though, on my lap, because when the controller's flat, it doesn't disconnect. When I move it around is when it disconnects, but with it being a road course, I feel like I'm naturally going to move the controller, so I'll hope for the best. At least I'll test it out, practice. I'll definitely make sure I practice to qualify before the race like I did today. I'm glad I practiced to qualify before the race today, because if I didn't, I would have had that problem the first time in the race. I would not have known what was wrong with the controller, and it would have made for a long stream. This race has gone by pretty quick, though. We've only had one caution, which is crazy, considering we had no cautions in the race last time. This will be the 5th consecutive race with 2 or less cautions, if we don't get 2 more in the final 15 laps. We got 15 to go this time by. Tony Stewart 1/10 of a second quicker that last lap. We're at that point in the run where Johnson's tires just don't have the grip. I mentioned somewhere between 15 to 20 to go. Stewart was going to probably start to close. There's no lap traffic in front of that 48 car right now either. Definitely slid a little bit getting into 1. The car's not bad in handling. It just definitely slows down. Exactly halfway through the fuel stint. I don't know what I just heard. I don't know if that was my sister in a room on something or if that was somebody getting in the wall back there. But I don't know what it was. Stewart a little bit quicker than Johnson. Again, not quite a full 10th that last lap. A few hundredths of a second quicker, though. You have to be a little bit quicker. If he can gain 0.2 a second a lap, roughly on average, he will get to Jimmy Johnson. It's so hard to pass here, though. The quicker Stewart can get there, the more times he can have a chance to pass the 48, but it's going to be hard to pass him when he gets there. Johnson was struggling to get around Stewart and Harvick when he was in second behind them earlier in the race, and especially Harvick. It took him to lap 25 to get to the lead. He was in second from lap 6 to 25 before he finally got around him. Still 1.7. Pretty even that last lap between Johnson and Stewart. Man, if they just line up on top of one another at this point in the tire stint, it is going to be very, very good racing. Not as good as you can get at Indy just because how equal those two cars are. I mean, their lap times have been nearly identical, about 1 to 2 laps in a row. Lap traffic has not gone Stewart's way here in these final 30-plus laps. Still got to catch Sterling Marlin one more time. We know that for a fact. Oh, Johnson a little wide in turn 1. It's going to cost him a little bit of time. Luckily, it happened getting into the short chute, though, rather than one of these long straightaways, but that still cost him some time. He's still trying to get a little bit of that speed back down the back straightaway. Just hop back into the throttle just a little bit too soon. His older tires got to try to back the corners up a little bit more and accommodate for it. And that's going to make Stewart about 0.3 of a second quicker that last lap than Jimmy Johnson just because of that mistake in turn 1. He did get in the wall very hard, but definitely a mistake Johnson can't make too many more times. Hopefully not at all, considering Stewart may be a little bit quicker than him already as it is. Tires getting a little bit older and a little bit older. Looks like there's quite a few drivers on pit road. I wonder if there's that many drivers who have blown an engine. We've only seen like 1 or 2 engine failures ourselves today, but I saw like 3 or 4 in practice earlier in just 20 laps. So I was expecting there to be quite a few. I haven't personally seen any, and obviously we've only had 1 caution. Robbie Gordon, as far as I know, is still in the race. I put him a lap down not that long ago. 30, 40 laps ago. It was right before we made our final stop. Johnson actually 1/10 of a second quicker than Stewart that last lap. 10 to go at Indy. 10 long laps to try and get to that white flag. And, of course, hopefully the checker soon after with the W. So a little bit of pressure, but Stewart isn't there, so Johnson definitely feels fully comfortable right now having this kind of a gap. It's definitely been one-on-one here for about the last 5 or 6 laps. There's been no lap cars. Johnson, the last lap car he caught was at lap 144. It's already going to be 8 laps at the line, which again means that he will catch Sterling Marlin here pretty soon one more time. Stewart struggled to get around Marlin the last 2 times. Johnson has blown by him the last 2 times. And Marlin will be the next lap car. You can see him out there in turn 2. And down the back straightaway. Where will Johnson catch him this time? He's not going to catch him down the back straightaway this time. Hopefully he can catch him on the front straightaway in a good spot. Johnson again 1/10 of a second quicker than Tony Stewart the last lap. Stewart may have used his stuff up. There is Marlin. Johnson caught him in a great spot in short chute of 3 and 4. Marlin stayed wide. Plenty of time there for Jimmy Johnson to make the pass. Stewart a little bit quicker, though, that last lap. Well, he was about to be quicker until he caught Marlin off the exit of turn 4. 8 to go at Indy. It is now over a 2-second lead. Next lap car is the teammate of Jimmy Johnson. That would be Terry Labonte, and that might be the last lap car Johnson catches in this race. They're not going to catch Marlin again. Stewart is now 2.5 seconds off the lead. He lost a full second behind Johnson in the last lap because of Sterling Marlin. And Johnson gets to Labonte. He's just going to draft with him. Teammates are going to work together. If it starts to slow Johnson up in any sort of way, then he'll just get right on by Terry, no problem. Not quite close enough yet. Probably when they get to the back straightaway, he'll be close enough. Yep. So the 5 and the 48 working together. Hendrick teammates trying to keep the Hendrick win streak alive. This would push it to 9 races. Johnson did get a little loose off turn 4 that last lap. I'm drafting like this, so and they may end up actually catching another lap car before the end. Just have to wait and see. Mistake that time for Jimmy. Got 5 laps to go in the Brickyard 400. Tony's gaining a little bit. Johnson would probably be a little bit quicker if he just passed Terry Labonte, but I mean, Stewart's not gaining quick enough to even catch Johnson in the closing laps anyway. Didn't get as loose off turn 4 that time. Crossing the Art of Bricks, 4 laps to go in the Brickyard 400 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. What a win this is about to be for Jimmy Johnson. No lap cars between the top 2 right now. I'm sure Labonte will block Stewart. Whenever Johnson decides to pass Labonte, if he does decide to pass him at all. Three laps to go at the line. At a 1.7 second lead. Labonte's still running some pretty decent lap times. Man, Johnson really loose in turn 3. Pretty big slide. 3/4 of the way through the fuel run. About a 1.3 second lead. Stewart about 0.4 of a second quicker that last lap because of that slide in turn 3 for Johnson. I mean, really, as long as he hits his marks here, he should be all right. He's not even going to really worry about even risking passing Labonte, despite Labonte being his teammate. There's no way Tony Stewart's going to gain that much time. Johnson is definitely just kind of coasting it here. You just got to hope that we don't get a caution in the next half a lap, and he's pretty much got this race locked down. Slides a little bit again in turn 3, not as bad. The dirty air right behind the 5 might be hurting him as well, though. Ah, jeez. I was hoping we were going to have that again. That's the 4th time it's happened in this race. Didn't cost me anything, though. 1 second lead at the start-finish line. Stewart 7/10 of a quicker the last 2 laps combined, but the white flag is in the air. 1 lap to go for Jimmy Johnson in the Brickyard 400. Just kind of sitting patiently behind Terry Labonte, minding his own business. No issue here whatsoever. He's got to run. He'll pull out to make the pass now down the back straightaway. On the 5 car. Sure, Terry will let him go in turns 3 and 4. Oh, a little contact. That wasn't very clean. Labonte gave Johnson plenty of room. That's the 3rd lap in a row. Johnson slid a little bit getting into turn 3. Well, Stewart cut it down to about 7/10 of a second, but that's going to be it. Checkered flag in the air. Jimmy Johnson wins his first career Brickyard 400. Dominating fashion. And now he will get to kiss the bricks at Indy. Pretty good victory celebration there with the donuts at the end of the race. Jimmy Johnson wins the Brickyard 400 by about 7/10 of a second over Tony Stewart. Stewart tried to make a charge from about 2.5 seconds off the lead there in the closing 8 laps, with Johnson riding behind Terry Labonte, but he wasn't really worried about trying to pass him. Probably shouldn't have even tried to pass him that last lap in 3. We made a little bit of contact, but very minimal, luckily, and Stewart gained about 3/10 in that final set of corners, but it's okay. We're good. Jimmy Johnson wins. That is the 9th straight win for Hendrick Motorsports. Johnson's 8th win of the season, his 7th in this stretch of the 9 races. Gordon winning 2 in that stretch as well. 126 of the 160 laps led for Jimmy Johnson today. Tony Stewart finishes 2nd. He led 5 laps. Kevin Harvick led quite a few at the beginning. Gordon led the 1st lap. Qualifying 2nd. Biffle led 3 during green flag pit stops. I think Kevin Harvick DNF'd. Barry Baker led 1 lap during green flag stops. Kurt Busch led 1 lap. Yeah, Kevin Harvick, who led 23 laps, he DNF'd. He blew an engine, finished 23rd. Ryan Newman blew an engine early in the race, too. He was 2nd in points coming in. Well, now he's not going to be 2nd in points. And the 4th place driver in points, Kevin Harvick, blew an engine too. So, of course, the chase will reset everything here soon, but they're still fighting for every spot they can in the regular season standings to rank themselves for the chase. You got 6 races until the chase begins. So, Ryan Newman, Kevin Harvick, Kurt Busch, Casey Mears, Jamie McMurray, Bobby Labonte, Elliott Sadler again? He's cursed. He's got to be cursed. He has blown an engine 5 races in a row. I mean, this is an unbelievable collapse of a great season. He was 8th in points 5 races ago, probably a full race above the cutoff line. And now all of a sudden, coming into this race, he was a full race below the cutoff line in 13th. And now he DNFs again. I mean, this is like just getting comical at this point. I mean, we only got 6 races left until the playoffs. I don't think of Sadler as a great road course racer. Watkins Glen's coming up next. This is not a good situation for Elliott Sadler if he's going to want to make it in. And we still got 2 fast tracks where he can blow 2 more engines at Michigan and California before the chase. This is just F in the chat for Elliott Sadler. I mean, there's nothing else to say. His teammate blew an engine too, though. Dale Jarrett also blew an engine. Sterling Marlin did finish the race 36th, but he ended up finishing 83 laps down. Jeff Burton blew an engine. Ricky Rudd blew an engine. And that was it. So Marlin finished, which means we had 10 drivers blow an engine. So we had 11 blow an engine at New Hampshire last night, 10 tonight at Indy in the Brickyard 400. I feel so bad for virtual Elliott Sadler. Indeed. I do too. That's just terrible. Well, we'll take a look at the point standings. We'll take a look at the top 10 here first. I didn't even mention the top 10. Great runs for a couple of rookies. We actually had 4 rookies finish in the top 10 today in the Brickyard 400. Have yourself a day, guys. Jimmy Johnson with the win. Only 2 hours, 29 minutes on this race, but we only had the one caution at lap 26. That was for Robbie Gordon spinning and backing into the wall in turn 1. Tony Stewart finished second. He ran very well all day long. Matt Kenseth third. Dale Jr. fourth. Casey Kane rounds out the top 5. Jeff Gordon will take second in the point standings once again with a 6th place finish. Brendan Gaughan finishes 7th. He is the second rookie, as well as Kane in the top 10. Greg Biffle 8th. Brian Vickers, rookie, finishes 9th. And Scott Riggs, rookie, rounds out the top 10. That's insane. That's got to be a record. 4 rookies in the top 10 in a race, let alone at Indy. The crown jewel event. That is a great day for those 4 drivers, especially Casey Kane. He's above the cutoff line. 43 laps. Oh, yeah. Why did I say 83? I was thinking it was 200 laps, not... My bad. That was probably the worst math I think I've ever done in my life. At least on the channel, in public. That was pretty bad. Yeah, good correction there. I don't even know why I said that. No clue why I said that. Alrighty, so we'll take a look at the point standings following this race today. Jimmy Johnson extends his points lead by 42 points total, by 35 points over Jeff Gordon. Gordon led 1 lap, the first lap of the race, so he did get 5 bonus points. He did finish 6th. He had a strong day. Not as strong as his teammate, though. Johnson with the win. 9 straight wins for Hendrick Motorsports. And we had 3 of us in the top 10 today, all finished on the lead lap. And Vickers ended up, with 9th place finish. So only 2 drivers are within 1 race worth of points now, with Newman and Harvick blowing an engine. Harvick actually falls to 5th in points after blowing an engine today. Dale Jr. up to 4th. Casey Kane with the top 5 up to 7th in points, passing Kurt Busch, who blew an engine in this race. Bobby Labonte also blew an engine, putting Matt Kenseth a little bit closer to that cutoff, or to cars in front of him, so he's not in that cutoff spot. But currently, Matt Kenseth ahead of Rusty Wallace by 71 points. And poor Elliott Sadler still 13th. But he is quite a ways back. 273 points is Elliott Sadler behind Matt Kenseth. I don't know. He was super good until 5 races ago. What was it? Infineon? Infineon would have been 5 races ago. So from Infineon to Daytona to Chicagoland to New Hampshire and now Indy, 5 straight blown engines for Elliott Sadler. I mean, you can't really get any worse unless he just keeps DNFing. But I mean, at some point you would have to think, what if he just goes the rest of the season? Like the last how many races we got left? 16 races, regular season and chase included. He just DNFs the rest of the year. That'd just be hilarious. They've all been engine failures. Not like he's crashing either. Because, I mean, we've only had 2 or less cautions every race, and I can guarantee you he has not been in any one of those cautions in that stretch. It's crazy. But I'll cut him a little bit of slack today in that 38 team, a little bit of slack, because Dale Jarrett blew an engine also, and they were teammates. So something is wrong with those Yates engines all of a sudden this season. Watkins Glen tomorrow night on the channel. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as mentioned. Can't wait for that one. The Sirius at the Glen. We'll see what's going to happen. Hopefully the controller doesn't spaz out on us. We had it disconnect 4 times, once with 2 to go there, but no major issue, thankfully. hopefully, with it being a road course tomorrow, we might have a major issue if it does happen too many times. But we'll see. We'll see. Like, share, and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Catch you tomorrow, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a good rest of your Tuesday night.